Hi guys, it's Hayley here from Hayley's Weight Loss Journey. If you're not sure who I am, my name is Hayley. I run an Instagram account under the name Hayley's Weight Loss Journey, which documents my journey with weight loss, how I managed to lose 5.5 stone in 9 months and be able to maintain it. I use the Instagram platform to help inspire and motivate myself and other women, and also document my weight loss and the struggles I've had, talk a lot about mental health, a few things about body image and beauty as well. So if you're interested in any of that, please do support the page by pressing subscribe and giving the video a thumbs up. Today I want to talk about things that I wish I'd known before I lost weight. I have already done a video with things that surprised me during losing weight, but I want this video just to be something to give anybody a heads up before they might start their own weight loss journey, or things that you may be able to relate to if you have gone through losing weight, things that you wish you would have known before. So if you're interested in this, please keep watching, and as I say, give the video a thumbs up if you enjoy. So number one on the list, and the most important thing that I found out through losing weight, is that calories are important. There is a bit of a debate about whether calorie counting is healthy for everybody, whether it will work for everybody, and it absolutely won't. It's something that worked for me. I can only share my story and my success with it. I've had a really positive experience of calorie counting, and I know a lot of people have. However, that doesn't mean it's going to work for everybody. If you have quite an addictive nature, it can become quite obsessive calorie counting. It's also quite time consuming. So it might not be for everybody. You really need to keep your mental health in check with calorie counting, but it is something that works, and I've had great success from it. And it's the basic science behind calories in and calories out. If you're putting in less calories than you're burning each day, you will lose weight. So calories are important. That's something I've learned. I'm not saying that you have to do what I did, and I did track all of my calories. The only thing I didn't track was milk and tea and coffee, because I had just a very small amount of it during the day, so I didn't add that in, but I did count everything else. I weighed my food, I checked the calories of them, I entered them into an app called MyFitnessPal, and I was very, very strict with my calories. I made sure I was sticking within my calorie deficit for the day. However, calorie counting doesn't mean that you have to be quite as obsessive with it as I was. You don't have to track every single calorie, but you do have to have an awareness of calories. Even if you have sort of a 70% awareness of what is in that food, just checking the labels, you can check on Google, you can check recipes, and just have an awareness of roughly how much you're putting in, you will start to notice weight loss if you do try to stick within a calorie deficit. So that was the biggest thing that was important for me, is that calories do matter. There's a bit of a debate about the kind of calories, and are calories different in different kinds of foods? So if you were just eating a donut that was 200 calories, or you had the apple, orange and a banana, which also equal roughly 200 calories, which one's healthier for you? It's very obvious which one is healthier, and which one you're going to get the most benefits from is eating the fruit rather than the donut. However, to stay on track, I find it really difficult to restrict myself from food, so sometimes I need a donut, so I will eat that donut. And in terms of my weight loss, actually that's not going to hinder it at all, because I chose the donut, not the fruit, because the calories are exactly the same that are going in. It's just the benefits you get from them, and that's where a balanced diet is really important. So making sure that you are getting calories from things like fruit and veg. You need to cover all the food groups, so fats, carbohydrates, protein is very important and will keep you fuller longer. But if you do have calories from things like sugar and unhealthy fats, it's not going to stall your weight loss. It's just that you will get better benefits from having a balanced diet. But in terms of just the number, the calories, they do matter. So the second thing on the list is that healthy foods aren't always weight loss foods. This was one thing where I had gone wrong in the past. Before I was successful with losing weight, I thought I was dieting just because I was eating healthy foods. So you've got things like granola, cereal bars, shakes that you can make for yourself, but this ties back in with the calories. You have no idea sometimes just how many calories are in those things. I'm an absolute sucker for protein bars. I love grenade bars. They're like a treat for me. I eat multiple grenade bars a week. I wouldn't say every day, but I do certainly have them every few days. But in those grenade bars, which I can't recommend anymore, I'm not sponsored by them at all, but I do love them. There's around about 250 calories, and in a Snickers there's around about the same. So when people go into a shop and they see sort of the health food aisles, or they see what they think are going to be healthy snacks because they say on them high in protein or low in sugars, actually when it comes down to the calories, it's not going to do much harm you having a plain chocolate bar instead of having one of these sort of sports nutrition bars that you see quite often. Things like granola as well, very, very high in calories, but we often see over Instagram influencers sharing pictures of their healthy foods, and yes, they are healthy and they come with some great benefits. You see these big smoothie bowls, sometimes they are made up of protein and fruit and granola and yogurt, and they are healthy and they have some great benefits for your body. But when it comes down to weight loss, one of those smoothie bowls could actually be about 600 calories, and if you're trying to stay in a calorie deficit, that's a lot. Things like shakes as well. I think a lot of people are under the impression that if they change one of their meals for a shake, they're going to lose weight. Not always the case, because in these shakes you can have things like bananas, great for you, slightly higher in calories than other fruit. Peanut butter. If you put 2 teaspoons of peanut butter in there, you've got about 100 calories going in. Then you go and put granola in there, you could have another 200 calories going in. Then you go and put your yogurt and your honey in there. They're all great things for you, but what I'm trying to say is that our concept of healthy foods doesn't always equate to weight loss foods if you're trying to stay in a calorie deficit. So just be very mindful when reading the labels. These things are still things that you can incorporate in your diet, but just the amount of them. One of the things that really shocked me when I started losing weight was things like granola and cereal. I thought, oh yeah, that's quite a healthy thing, and the portion says only 150 calories per portion, that's great. And then I would weigh out a portion and it would be absolutely tiny and I would be having sort of 3 or 4 of those portions in one go before I realised how many calories are in there. So just be mindful that not all food that's advertised as healthy food is potentially going to help your weight loss. So another thing it's taken me a while to learn during my weight loss journey is not to become reliant on the scales and the number on the scales. And there's 2 sides to this. The first thing that I want to talk about when it comes to numbers on the scales is that don't compare yourself to other people. I weigh 11 stone currently. I've been very honest about my weight on my Instagram page, but I get a lot of comments all the time saying, are you sure that you're 11 stone? Or you don't look 11 stone, or I'm 11 stone and I don't look like you. Because we're all different and we're all human. I'm relatively tall, I do carry quite a bit of muscle. We all have different things that are going to make us weigh slightly different than somebody else. Me looking like 11 stone will look very different than somebody who's 6'2" and 11 stone, or somebody who's 5'2" and 11 stone. We all carry weight differently, and it can be quite a dangerous thing sometimes to compare yourself to somebody else's weight. And it can also be quite dangerous for them when you mention to them, oh, but you don't look that weight. Be very careful, because you can sort of implant doubt into their minds that should I be this weight? You know, I'm aware that 11 stone sounds quite heavy to some people, but I know it's a healthy weight for me, and I'm happy with that. So when people do say to you, oh, but you don't look that, or oh, you can't be that heavy, just be careful with terminology like that, with how that can play with somebody mentally. So don't compare yourself to somebody else's weight. We all carry it differently. And secondly, the scales don't show everything. I did become quite addictive with weighing myself. I used to do it every single morning. But I am somebody who likes to stay on track by having goals. And I need to see statistics and progress that way. So for me, I worked quite well with weighing myself a lot, because I could see when I was doing things wrong or what I was getting progress for. However, I did have to learn that the scales aren't everything. Sometimes I would wake up and I've put 3 or 4 pounds on overnight, and that can be from a multiple variety of reasons. It can be things like water weight. You could have just simply drunk a lot more water that day. It can be things like getting your period. It can be that you had a heavy meal, and it can be for no reason at all other than we're human. So don't become too reliant on the scales. Scales don't work for everybody as well. You might not want to weigh yourself at all. It can be just as motivating to yourself to go by how your clothes fit, what you see in the mirror, and also taking measurements. Measurements is something that I never took, and I kind of wish I had have done. Something that I'm potentially going to start looking at now that I'm more into sort of the fitness side of things, is to start taking some measurements to get a different perspective on it. But please don't become too reliant on the scales. They're not always giving you an accurate account of your success with your weight loss, and it can be quite demotivating when you get on the scales and you see a gain and you feel like you haven't done anything to warrant that gain. So yeah, don't become too obsessive about those. Another thing I wish I'd known at the beginning, and I feel like this can be quite a downfall for a lot of people, and why a lot of people give up on whatever sort of weight loss plan they've got going on, is that one bad day doesn't ruin it. Having a bad day, even having a bad week, we are all human. We all eat for different reasons. I'm a comfort eater. If something goes wrong in my life, if I'm feeling unhappy or something traumatic happens, I like to eat. I comfort myself with it. It's something that I've worked on a lot, whereas I used to do it every day. I now sort of allow myself to enjoy and get comfort from food when I need it. But if you do have a bad day, if you have a day where you eat everything, even if you have a few days like it, or you have a week off plan, it doesn't mean you've ruined it. And I think it took me a long time to get out of that mindset where I'd had failed diets in the past, where I think, oh, well, I've eaten this now, I've ruined it, I might as well give up. All of that hard work I've done, I've just reversed it. And that's not true. You don't gain weight overnight, just like you don't lose it overnight. All of your progress, any success that you've had so far, it will not be reversed from a couple of days eating poorly or eating a lot. So that's something to bear in mind. Please don't get demotivated by it. Just wake up the next morning and try again. And if you fail that day, wake up the next day and try again. But we are all human, and I think there's quite a danger in getting in the mindset that having a bad day of eating, or giving yourself a hard time for enjoying food and getting some sort of comfort out of it, that's actually quite a dangerous place to be in, because we are all human and there are much bigger things going on in the world than beating yourself up for having a bad day of eating. So when you do have one of those bad days, write it off and try again. So another harsh reality of weight loss, something that you do need to understand, is there are no quick fixes. I was always like that in the past. I was looking at the latest fad diets and diet trends, looking for a quick fix. What can I do? What's going to make this easier and simpler and faster? I've tried soup diets and shake diets. I have tried maple syrup diets. I've tried slimming pills, which I am so anti anything like that now. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll know I'm very passionate about these kind of things. Don't work. If you did start something like a shake diet, you may see results in the first few days and maybe the first week, because you're losing water and it's popping you in a calorie deficit. So you are going to see those scales drop. To try to maintain that is extremely difficult. You cannot go on the rest of your life having 2 shakes as your meals for the day. It's unsustainable, and at some point you're going to get bored of it. It's going to get hard. You're going to go back, and you're more likely to go back to bad eating habits. There is no quick fix with it. It's about a lifestyle change. It's about having an awareness of calories, how much you're putting in, how many calories you're burning, and working that into your lifestyle. It's also about not restricting yourself on any foods. Again, I'm quite passionate about that. If you restrict yourself from eating certain foods, you are far more likely to miss them, to go back and either binge on them, give up on a diet plan completely. So incorporating your favourite foods into your diet, but just having an awareness about things like portion size and calories. There is no quick fix. It's going to take time. It took me about 6 weeks when I started on a calorie deficit to notice changes to myself and my weight. It took me around about 2 to 3 months for other people to notice. It doesn't happen overnight, and this is the hardest bit. It's a bit like quitting smoking. The first bit is always going to be the hardest. You've just got to power through that bit, because once you start seeing the results, I find for me that is the biggest motivation. Once I started seeing my body change and my clothes became too big for me and other people started complimenting and noticing, that is the biggest motivation. But you have to get to that point first, and that's the hardest bit. Is probably the first 6 weeks before any of that starts happening. But bear that in mind. You really need to look at this time next year, not this time next month. I hate seeing articles and things where they say to you, you'll drop a stone in 2 weeks, or you can drop 10 pounds in a week, or you can drop 2 dress sizes in a month. Ignore all of that. There should not be a time frame on it. There absolutely shouldn't be pressure on you to lose a certain amount of weight in a certain time frame. Don't even have an end goal with the time frame, is my bit of advice to everybody, because it's constantly changing. Your life is changing, your lifestyle is changing, and to put pressure on yourself with time is something that our mental health really doesn't need. So start thinking about this time next year, or if I'd have started this time last year, where would I be now? But do not start thinking, oh, I've got this event in 1 month. How is my body going to look different for that event? There is no quick fix. So another thing I wish I'd have known before I started losing weight is that the ideal body image that I had in my head isn't always realistic. And I think it's something that we all need to come to terms with, hopefully before we start losing weight and getting too obsessed with chasing this body image that we see in the media a lot. Unfortunately, we all do have these ideas in our heads about what the perfect bikini body should look like, the perfect beach body. A lot of it comes from what we see in the media. and also on social media. But we do have to remember that a lot of these have been edited, airbrushed. People who do have those kind of bodies often do have personal trainers, dietitians, and it's taken a long time and a lot of effort to get to that point. We've got to be realistic, and for me, keeping my health in check has been the number one priority, and it changed from sort of chasing this dream of seeing myself wearing a bikini to actually focusing more on my health. I still don't have the confidence really to wear a bikini at the moment because of my own insecurities and things, and I thought before I started, if you could tell me I'd be a dress size 10 and I wouldn't want to wear a bikini, or I'd still have insecurities about my body, I wouldn't have believed you. But that just shows how your mindset does change over time. I did have a goal weight when I first started losing weight. My goal weight was 10.5 stone. I did get down to it, and now I've come back up to 11 stone because it's my happier weight. I still would like to lose weight, and I think that's something psychological that a lot of us have, where we're always chasing wanting to lose weight. I have some images of myself when I was 10.5 stone. I'll put one on the screen now. And I look back at this image and I don't like it. I feel like I look too thin. However, when the image was taken, I still felt like I was too big. So that's where your mentality does start to change a little bit. So you're always chasing this perfect body image. And I think we just really need to be aware that it's not always realistic. So the last kind of 2 points together that I want to cover for things that I wish I'd have known before I started losing weight are to do with exercise. Now, I didn't exercise at all really during the 9 months where I lost the large amount of weight that I did. I've got into exercise a lot more recently. I've sort of found a bit of a passion for it and I now enjoy it. However, I want to go back and focus on when I was in a calorie deficit and when I was losing weight. So I didn't need the exercise to lose weight. However, if I had have exercised, potentially it would have given me further results and quicker results, and it also potentially would have helped some of the loose skin that I've been left with. But I just want to talk a little bit about walking, because I feel like walking is so underrated. And I always thought in terms of, having to do a workout or exercise or it to be classed as doing something physical, you'd have to be running or jogging or putting a lot more effort in, because walking is so low intensity. It doesn't particularly feel like you're exercising, but you can burn a lot of calories that way. And if you can just incorporate it into your lifestyle as well. So if you've got to pop down to the local village to grab some food or something, if you can walk down there and back instead, the benefits that you will start to see from walking are amazing, especially for your legs. I never used to go on long walks at all. I now really push myself to go on very long walks, which will burn a lot of calories, but it really doesn't feel like you're exercising. And it's also so good for your mental health. I find if I'm stressed out, if I've had a bad day, if something's wrong, especially if the weather's nice, if I can get out there and just go for a long walk, not only are you giving yourself physical benefits, but it's also really good for your mindset. The last point I want to mention as well, which is something that I never realised because I hadn't done any research into health or weight loss at all. I really was one of the most unhealthiest people you'd ever met a couple of years ago. I was very lazy. I didn't do a lot at all. I didn't watch what I was eating, which was why I gained so much weight. However, I never realised that you cannot out-exercise a bad diet, or if you can, it's extremely hard to do so. So I was always under the impression that you sort of picked one or the other if you weren't going to incorporate them together. So you could eat whatever you liked as long as you were going to the gym and as long as you were exercising, and that's extremely hard to do. Because if you are still having a bad diet and you are still eating far too many calories than you should be eating, it's really difficult to sustain doing that amount of exercise to outburn those calories. You look at athletes, and I've got some friends as well who are very into their weight training and they do competitions and things, and they eat a hell of a lot of calories, but they are in that gym for 8 hours a day, and they really are. That is their passion, that is what their lifestyle, and they love seeing the benefits of that, and they're able to eat a lot more because of the exercise they do. But for us normal people who don't go to the gym for 6 to 8 hours every day, and people like me who just love to lay in bed and watch Netflix in the evening, and I don't have the most active lifestyle, it's very difficult to out-exercise a bad diet. By working out for half an hour a day, or for going for a walk, or doing a 20-minute run, it's not going to have a massive impact on decreasing the calories that you've eaten. So you could go out for a half an hour walk and you could burn 200 calories. That's a Mars bar. So if you are putting 8 Mars bars in your mouth a day, you're going to be walking for hours trying to burn those off. So that's just one thing to bear in mind. Exercise is great and it comes with so many benefits physically and mentally. I'll be doing another video on exercise because I've only recently sort of found my passion for it and the benefits that come with that. But just bear in mind, it is very, very, very hard to keep up with enough exercise to out-exercise a bad diet. So I hope that makes sense. But to burn the calories that you can eat from a high-calorie diet is very difficult. So that's it for today's video. As always, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this. If you are interested in the kind of topics that I post about on here, I'll link my Instagram down below. I do post almost daily on there, and it covers a lot of the topics that obviously these videos are about. I hope this video could have been quite insightful to anybody who's looking at healthy weight loss at the moment and keeping your mental health in check also. And it may be relatable to a lot of people as well who've gone through the same kind of experiences and emotions and learning curves that I have with weight loss. But thank you again for all of your support and positivity. It really is appreciated, and I'll be back soon with another video.